Hello everyone, welcome to the Pushing Hearts on podcast. This is your host Ash. When I first saw Dante's name listed as a Cocodona 250 finisher, I had no idea who he really was. I hadn't spoken to him before the podcast. We exchanged few emails to schedule the podcast, but as we were getting ready to record this episode, right away we clicked like we have known each other. The way he talked, honest, open, no ego, about the race, the mistakes, the wins, the chaos, and the people who showed up for him. It hit deep. You could tell this wasn't some athlete taking up distances. This was a guy who values the hell out of community, who shows up and means it, and who figured out something about life through suffering. Now, as I am editing this episode, listening back, it made me pause, smile, just feel damn grateful. In 2 years, this man went from never running to finishing Cocodona. 250 miles of brutal, beautiful hell. And when you hear him speak, you realize he's just like us. No silver spoon, no superhuman genetics. Just someone who stepped out of his comfort zone and found out who the hell he really was. This is what it's about. Not finish lines, not medals, becoming. Doing the thing once that felt impossible and learning you are so much more than what you thought. So let's get right into it and please let me introduce to our guest today. Here is Dante. Hey Dante, welcome to the podcast and I have been following you ever since the Cocodona and it's so nice to finally talk to you in person via chat. So yeah, welcome to the podcast.
Awesome. Hey, thank you, Ash. I appreciate being here, man. And it's been awesome connecting with you as well leading up to today. And it's good to connect in person as well. This is fantastic. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. I know you briefly, through the Cocodona adventure. So can you please give a quick
hmm
introduction about who Dante is?
Oh, you know what? This is probably going to be the hardest question you ask me today. I still feel like in a lot of ways I'm trying to figure out who I am. The easy parts are I have an amazing supportive partner in Amanda. I'm a cat dad, Gus, who's actually the logo for our team.
Oh,
Yeah, I was never a cat person until we got Gus, and so now I'm like a emphatic cat dad. Um, I love
great.
photography. I work in cemeteries and Scratch ambassador. I work with Scratch and just huge into community. I found a lot of community in trail running. A lot of my personal time is based around crewing, pacing, cheering, supporting, volunteering, trying to give back to the community that's given me so much love.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's who I am.
I think the community is so wonderful. Like you were talking about ever since we got into in touch with each other, then it just we've been going back and forth and it's just nice to know you more and then it's just nice to, whenever we talk and then it's just like we instantly connect. It's just like, yeah, get on it, it's just nice.
Yeah, we have to support each other. That's the biggest thing. And one thing, I'm sure we'll get to it at some point, but what ultra running showed me is, and especially these long races, is for me, it's like showing up for people is one of the greatest things, one of the greatest gifts that we can give each other is just to just show up entirely for someone when they need us. And this community is full of people like that.
Definitely. And now talking about this community and things, I found you via
Yeah.
Cocodona, right? So I saw Andrew Glaze. He was talking about my mom can run 5Ks, and I think that's been my motto now. Is whenever I struggle. Yesterday, I think when I was doing 30K, I said the same thing. Like after 26, my legs were hurting, and I said, Andrew Glaze said, "Your mom can run 5K." So I kept at it. It's just amazing. So when you signed up for Cocodona, 84
Mhm.
hours on your feet through heat, desert, hallucination, sleep deprivation, and whatever else is going on. What were you thinking? And why did you need that race?
What was I thinking? The funny thing about it is, when I run these long races, it's like the only time that I can turn my brain off. It's weird. My brain's always going. I sleep terrible because it's always going on. But when I get into these races, I become so singular focused that Ash, I have to tell you, for the majority of it, I don't know what I was thinking. I know I was chatting with my pacers. My pacer the other day told me that we were sitting there and he was talking about, oh, awesome possum. and with someone else, and I was like, "What's awesome possum, dude?" It was Sean, and Sean looked at me and he's, "Dude, we made that up together at Cocodona." Maybe I did have thoughts, but I guess fatigue sets in. I don't really remember a lot of what I was thinking.
Thinking about it right now, right? So that's like an immense thing. Days without sleep, you are so tired,
hmm
you're fatigued, and everything going on. So, how bad did it get out there? And was there any moment where you were like, okay, screw this, I'm out of here in warm bed?
The weird thing, I don't know if it's weird. I never had a moment where I was like, you know what, I can't go on, or we need to stop, or I need to maybe get a warm bed. I don't remember a moment where that entered my mind. It's like you get into this zone, and it goes back to the meditative state I was talking about, where you become so singular focused that it's just relentless forward progress at all costs. And you learn to appreciate the, I guess, the simplicity of the moment. In our lives, we have so many things that we're being pulled in so many directions, right? Socially, personally, relationships, work, training, all of these things, and you become silly putty. But when you're on the race and you're doing something for multi-day, you don't have the mental capacity to give energy to anything but being in there in that moment, being present. And it's really beautiful. I found an immense amount of joy. I think if you ask my team, and if you go back and look at the live streams, for the most part, I smiled my way through the whole thing. I can't wait to get back out to something like that and find that peace because it gave me a lot of peace. No, I actually, weirdly enough, emphatically enjoyed it.
So, for a moment, so if you're not running these enormous distances like 200 miles, 100 miles, who is Dante in that way? Because like you talked about your passion when you're running these distances, you feel clarity and you enjoy all this. So if you're not running, then what's the difference in you as a person?
When I'm not running, I'm like organized chaos, I suppose, is how I'd put it. I like to be organized, but yet at the same time, it's just all over the place. And you're going to find in our conversation today, I'm a scatterbrain. I'm probably going to go on a bunch of little side whatevers.
That's awesome.
It's how it operates. So it's like the yin and the yang. So the ultras give me peace and clarity and singular focus, where my everyday life, I just feel like I'm getting just stretched everywhere. And I guess that's the best way to describe who I am in a life is just I got a bunch of balls up in the air at all times, just hoping not to drop them.
It's same with me too. I do the same thing.
Are you that way too?
Yes. You'll see with the questions too. It's all over the place.
Hey, that's perfect, man. That's life. Life is messy. As long as we're just making our way down the path somewhere, we'll get there.
Yes, definitely. And also, prior to this Cocodona, how this ultra trail running came into your life? Because I'm sure that there have been a lot of other races that you did before like you were thinking, huh, 250, let me try this. So how did ultra
Oh man.
running came into your life?
Yeah. So I have a weird story with running. I guess not normal in terms of these distances. I've been running less than 2.5 years. So I don't have a history with running that most people have when you talk about scalability and like experience. I started off walking, power walking, because I was at a convention and my coworker was like 60 years old and I couldn't hardly keep up with him on a 5 mile walk. Like he kicked my butt. And it was a huge realization for me that, dude, I looked okay for the most part. I looked thin, but I was so out of shape. My fitness was terrible. And so I started power walking. And this is all at the same time that a friend of mine who is, I think, about 60 to 80 pounds more than I weigh. And so he's not a thin guy. And he had just done a 50-mile race. And I had never heard of that, let alone trail running, or I barely even knew what marathons were. And so that really inspired me to start moving my body more. And so I started doing that, and I did a half marathon 5 months after getting my butt kicked by the 60-year-old coworker walking. Uh, and within 9 months of me being able to run 1 mile without stopping, I did a solo 50K in San Francisco, just to see if I could. And then a month or two later, I did a solo 50 miler, you know, just to see what I could. Yeah, I told myself my entire my life that I wasn't a runner. It just wasn't who I was. And once I did that half marathon, it unlocked something in my brain. And it was like, oh, I'm the problem mentally. Like I'm limiting myself. And so it's been a pursuit of seeing what's there, what I can do now that I know that I'm the limiting factor.
That's insane because you said you were not a runner, you don't have a running background, and then here you are doing these enormous 250-mile races for days where it breaks you. And going back to Cocodona now, has there any moment where it got hard for you because of, like you said prior, you don't have a lot of experience in running? So was that any factor coming into, and did that affect you in any part of the race?
Yeah, I would say coming into the race, we always have doubts, right? Fear of failure. How am I going to stay up for 24 hours? I remember 2 weeks before the race, sitting on my couch and thinking, dude, there's no way that I can stay up for 24 hours right now, let alone moving my body, let alone potentially 5 days. And so that becomes like this overwhelming feeling where you're like, oh no, what did I do? Like, I know I've trained. How am I going to do this? And you just have to calm the mind and trust the process. Hay is in the barn is something that a friend of mine shared with me. It's you put the work in, just appreciate it. So on the front end, there's definitely a lot of doubt and failure, fear of failure that creeps in. But to answer your question on race day, I had a sense of calmness starting the day, and which is pretty abnormal for me. And I would say the biggest challenges that came across were my knees. By mile 100, my knees were just barking. They were yelling at me, and as we get further in the race, they start screaming at me. And I'd never felt pain like that, especially in my knees. And so I remember thinking somewhere in Sedona that I hope I don't blow my knees out. And obviously, I realized that was dramatic, and we made it this far, so we just keep moving forward. But yeah, sorry, what was your question? See, squirrel. Hard interview for you, man.
It's all good. I ask you how bad did it get? Because you did
Oh,
have a
that's
lot of
yeah,
experience running, yeah. So how bad was it?
yeah. Sorry. Yeah, so I would say that's about as bad as it got as my knees. Yeah, by mile 100. So I had 150 miles left. My knees were yelling at me. And then it's just you listen to the body, it's having a conversation with you, and you acknowledge it, you accept it instead of trying to push it away because you can't fight it. And then you let it be an appreciation moment that you get to experience this new sensation and welcome it like a friend. And so that's how I tried to take the pain in the knees. But coming down Eldon was pretty sadistic, I have to tell you. That was the peak of the challenge. What was coming down Eldon? It's like a 2,000-foot descent over a couple miles, I think 2.5 miles, and
Dang.
felt like it was scrambling at times. And it's at mile 240. My legs weren't really working. My knees were screaming at me at that point. Shelby, who is an absolute badass, had been hunting me down for the better part of a day, 2 days, and she got within a quarter mile of me on Eldon. And it was a moment where I was really struggling. That was like my peak struggle. And Shelby really inspired me to put it behind me and somehow get the body to moving again. So shout out to Shelby for keeping me honest and making it a blast coming down Eldon because I needed a little push.
When you decided to do this 250-mile race with not a lot of background, you said, yeah, you were running for last 2 years, but still, that's
Mhm.
like a very big challenge. It's like insane. It's like, if you think about it, then it's just like, did you do any 100 milers or anything before prior to this race, or you just went straight at 250?
I did one 100 miler about 18 months into my running journey, which would have been March of 2024. So that was the longest distance I did. And I didn't do another 100 miler between then and Cocodona, which was about 14 months separated. But yeah, a pretty big jump. But, I looked at it and said, okay, I get 5 days to do it now instead of 30 hours. So, you know, Scalability, maybe it's comparable. So why not take a swing for it?
Now when you look at it, like you
Hmm.
got it done, and also
Hmm.
you said you only did 100 miler. If you have to go back and relive the decision of signing up, would you have done the same thing?
100%, without question. Yeah, no fiber in my being would second guess signing up for something like that or Cocodona again. Yeah. You
And
have to jump. You have to jump and take the leap of faith, the belief in yourself. That's the exciting part.
and we were talking about this, right? The mental strength that you need to do this
Hmm.
kind of races, and you said your knees were blown up at mile 100. So prior to this, when did you realize that you were built for this?
I question my physical capabilities a lot. All the way through my running journey, from when I first started to every single challenge I took on, even during the training blocks, I would have doubts on my physical. But one thing that I've actually never really questioned was my mental. It's just I get to a point where I lock in, and like I said earlier, it's like a singular focus. And for example, on my 100 miler, I learned a lot on my 100. There's so many things I did incorrectly and wrong. But I remember calling my mom at like mile 80. I was on the side of the trail fixing my feet because they were a mess. Like my feet were toast. And they are in a lot of these races, but it was pretty bad. And she told me, she goes, "We're so proud of you. We never thought you would even get this far." Thanks, Mom. I appreciate the confidence in me. I cut her short there and I stopped her and I was like, there's no quitting. There is not an ounce of energy that we're going to attribute to that. So I guess that's how we approach these things is once we start, we finish. And unless there's injury or things that are detrimental to our health, obviously those are, I'm not a death before DNF type of person. We're going to assess the situations, but as long as we're capable, it's forward progress.
Cocodona is multi-days event, right? We talked about, and you were up on your
Hmm.
feet for 84 hours or so. In this
Hmm.
desert, the terrain is awful sticky mud that, like, based on other people, like, there was a lot of things going on. And you said you only did 100 mile before this, and then you made this a jump of 150%. That's more, that's double
Yeah,
than what you did before. So
yeah.
why this race? What draw you toward this race? Because there are so many other races that you have done. The Tahoe 200, for instance.
Yeah.
The so many other races. So why this one?
Yeah, it's funny. I met Sam Cooper at Antelope Canyon. Turns out he lives in the city next to me. And so we became friends on that course, and he got me to start running with the Bandits, which is a trail running group out here. And that's when I really started really falling in love with trail running, was with the Bandits. Sam last year ran Cocodona, and so I followed him along. We were cheering him on. We were doing spirit miles with him, where we run in Oakland while he's finishing in Arizona. And a bunch of bandits went out there and crewed and paced him. And Sam made it look like so much fun. As weird as that sounds, they made it look like a blast that I came off of it. And I was like, this looks like so much fun. I have to do that. I have to experience this. And then a week later, after getting that seed in my head, I met Matt Bates, Lindsay's husband. And Matt had ran it last year. And so talking to him, he was talking about just how awesome of a time he had and just his experience. And between Matt and Sam, and then seeing the bandits out there, Ash, it was like, how do I not do this? I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but how do I not do it? So it became it was like, yeah, I have to.
In these type of events where you have to be up for 3 4 5 days potentially, right? So napping is one of the very crucial aspect. You can't afford to sleep for 7 8 hours, right? How we're in our bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to Cody. He said he slept for hours and 30 minutes. Harry also said along the same line. Last time when he won it, he only slept for 50 minutes.
That's crazy.
And Lindsay also said the same thing. So, are you a napper, first of all? And how did you push through this sleep deprivation? Because you're literally awake for days. So, how do you push through all of that mental fatigue, physical fatigue, the I don't know if you even sleep for 5 minutes. That sounds so good, And how do you push through all of that?
Yeah, so first off, shout out to Lindsay, Cody, and Harry because they make me look lazy. I slept for a little less than 3 hours, so by all aspects, I kind of got twice as much sleep as they did. So there's a lot of room for improvement here, Ash.
Three
But
hours is still amazing. I cannot imagine going through and not sleeping for days. That's insane. 3 hours is insane.
yeah, we didn't really have a nap strategy. I came into Iron King and my crew was like, "Hey, let's get you a little nap." It was like mile 90. We were like 26 hours into the race, maybe at that point 27, I don't know. And I tried to lay down and I just laid there and I laid there and I laid there and I could not sleep, Ash. It was like, I gotta go. I gotta go. And so I got up and we decided that just for me, like I can't nap. I'm wired. So what we changed our sleep strategy to was basically move my body until it doesn't move. And then we would sleepwalk my way into the aid station. I didn't do any trail naps because I felt like they would be uncontrolled. And so I wanted to have a controlled environment for my sleep where my team could monitor and make sure that I was getting up. And so I probably got, I would say, at least 12 miles of sleepwalking on the course. And I'd run my body until it became one of those things where you're moving and you're starting to hallucinate. You're seeing faces in the mud and you're like trying not to step on the people. You're like, excuse me. And you like, oh, it's mud. But you see these human faces in there. And my eyes they're closing, they're opening, they're closing. And somehow my brain is like putting together the pictures, right? Of this, what's in front of me. But it's like missing a couple frames each time because like you're closing your eyes and you're walking, you're moving. And yeah, I remember when that was going on, I other than saying I'm fine to my pacer, I could not hold a conversation. My body was just all of its energy was like, "Hey, we're just gonna crawl 4 miles to the next aid station. I'm gonna get that 20-minute nap. I'm gonna get a coffee, and then we're gonna get back out there." And that just became our sleep strategy for napping then. It was tow it in until I couldn't.
How does that work? Sleepwalking. You just explained that
That's a,
sleepwalking. That how do you
I,
walk? Like, do you close your eyes and you walk as you go in? And that is interesting. What happened? Can you explain
yeah,
the process on it?
it was the first I learned on the fly. First off, I've never sleepwalked in my life. So this is completely new to me. But I had my poles out. Instead of keeping them like this, you put them almost at an angle in front of you, and you're swaying back and forth because you don't have a lot of control, right? You don't have, so you're just like like almost like I don't drink, but I can imagine if you're like really drunk and you're like stumbling away. So that's how I guess movement is. And the cool thing about it was I look back at my pace, my times, and more or less it was like 20 to 25 minutes most of the time, miles, which, considering that your body is basically on its minimum functions and you're by all means sleeping. I felt like those are pretty good miles, and that's faster than sleeping
Yeah.
if you're moving. So
And did
that was
you
that was my mental
did
piece
you
of it.
fall by any chance while you're doing this thing?
Surprisingly, I didn't. Luckily, I didn't sleep on any technical sections though,
Okay.
so that helped. But also sadly, that took place my sleepwalking took place on a lot of sections of the course that would be otherwise very movable or runnable. And so if I look back at missed opportunities, hitting those sections with more energy probably would have been more beneficial. But yeah, no, that's luckily I didn't fall, thankfully. No
Yeah,
injury.
yeah, that sounds dangerous. But you said if there is not a technical section, then yeah, that kind of makes sense. And you obviously going into this race, you plan some things, right? And then you say, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. And when that plan fails, how did you
Mhm.
adapt on the fly? Because there is no waiting around or doing things because you have to think as you run because you literally have few days or few minutes to figure out what you're gonna do next. So how did all of that happen?
Yeah, oddly enough, because of my lack of experience, I really didn't know what to expect of my body, of my capabilities. So I didn't have a ton of plans other than I'm going to do the best I can and just move forward relentlessly. That was my only goal. And as anything comes up, take care of it in the moment and move past it because it's now behind you. And so I really focused on being present and doing mile by mile, each mile by each mile, and give myself a lot of space to think about what isn't going right or what challenges happened or are happening. I was just take care of it. Like I kicked a couple cactuses, so I got cactus spines in my feet and my legs. Let's take them out, move on. I ran into a cactus and it cut my vest, one of my zippers. I have two zippers on my vest for really important things. It cut the vest and I lost my sunscreen, which, in case you can't tell, I'm porcelain skin
Yeah,
pale and I'm in the desert. So sunscreen's important, but the moment it's gone. And so we just continue forward. So there was a lot of things I think that happened, but I just dealt with them and then it was in the past and we can only look in what the next mile is going to be like.
I just had a thought on that question. I forgot the question though. What was I gonna ask?
This is- We're a great team, dude.
I had a
I
follow
love
up.
it.
I had a follow up on it.
It'll come back to you.
Yeah, it'll go. Okay, it'll come back. I was just trying to remember. Oh yes, I okay. So you were talking about being this your first kind of major distance run, and you said you
Mhm.
didn't had any plan. So did you think that worked in your benefit? Because if you had plans, then you probably obviously would have to do things differently and to move around. So since you didn't have plan, was it easier for you, or it doesn't even matter when you're doing this kind of thing?
You know what? I don't, that's a great question. I don't know if I have an answer. I think there's two mindsets here. Is one, it's like, what's the saying? If you don't have a plan, you plan to fail type of thing. So you have to have some structure in place. And I had an incredible crew that took care of anything that I didn't have to think about. Kudos to them. They were true amazing rock stars in that regard. But I also like when you get it out there, there's so many factors, there's so many things that can happen that we can't plan for. So it's almost guaranteed that you have to be fluid, kind of like water, right? And so maybe not having a plan or not having like strict goals allowed me to truly stay present and just focus on what I can focus on, my controllables. So maybe that did help me. I don't know. I never thought about it that way.
Maybe.
I'm going to
And
continue not to plan.
yeah, and like when you go through these kind of things, I obviously talk to like few other people, and their strategy were different when it comes to fueling and things. Because Lindsay said she
Mhm.
didn't even take anything solid; she was all about the liquid gel she was using. So, what was your
Yeah.
strategy when you went to the race in terms of fueling? Did you eat a lot of gels, or you just relied on any like a solid food? And did you also carb
Mhm.
any kind of food that you wanted to eat while you were doing these kind of things?
So I did a lot of training. So I worked with Namrita Brooke, who's a nutritionist, who kind of helped me understand what nutrition is about in terms of fueling the body and what kind of like targets I should hit for carbs and calories. So that was super helpful during training. And then on race day, I did a ton of fueling. All my hydration fueling was with Scratch, which I used a lot of high carb. So I was able to get like 100 carbs per flask. And so for that first 37 miles or whatever it is to Crown King was almost entirely hydration fueled, and I was able to get like 800 carbs. And so I fueled my body that way. And then later in the race, a lot of coffee. So every aid station, my crew had coffee for me, maybe some oatmeal, uh, ramen noodle. They basically had a little buffet, and I would just kind of grab what I wanted. And luckily, I didn't have any issues with eating. My coach Leo put together like an elixir. I'm gonna call it an elixir.
Elixir.
Yeah, at like mile 200. we started needing to change my fueling strategy a little bit. And so they would give me like a bag, like Ash, it was huge. I don't know if it was a gallon bag that was half full of like Oreos, chips, chocolate, cookies, all these things with a lot of sugar and fat. And they would just like stuff it in my vest. I remember having like this like tumor of like food. And my directive was to eat that bag of food before we see you again. Um, so that became my fueling strategy later in the race, was just all these like a kid's dream. The downside of it is I found out that I have a lot of cavities because my teeth hurt so bad when
That's
I
way
was eating
too
all
much
that candy.
sugar.
It's oh, epic. Every bite, it was like this sharp pain. I'm like, yep, I got cavities.
God.
Got to take care of that.
Oh man, that sounds fun at the same time, but also it's painful because teeth pain is it's worse. If it's I remember having the cavity and it just hurts so bad. It's the tooth pain is something else
Yes.
to deal with.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah,
Of all the things I thought were going to hurt, not my teeth.
teeth, especially when you're trying to fuel yourself.
Yeah, right. So.
And like now going back to this racing and everything, do you consider yourself the mid pack or the back of the pack? And also how did you before the race, how did you like mentally prepare yourself that okay, I'm okay being in this pack?
I didn't even think about it. I went into this race, honestly not knowing if I would be fighting for cutoffs, if I would finish in 124 hours or if I'd finish in 100 hours. And so that was partly why I didn't have a game plan. It was more about take it mile by mile, be present, and do the best I can. And so I guess I've never really considered, what I can tell you is I never, never would have dreamed being 20th or top 20 in this race. That was never on my radar. It was in nobody's bingo card. And I didn't even know where I was in the race until about mile 95. My team kept telling me like, "Hey, you're doing great. You're doing great." I'm like, "Yeah, you're supposed to tell me that. That's great. I feel good. You're supposed to tell me I'm doing good. So, whatever." And Sean's pacing me to Fain Ranch at like mile 95 and he's, "Hey, like you're doing pretty good." I was like, "Thanks, dude. Keep saying it." He's, "You want to know where you're at? Like how you're doing?" And I'm like, "Sure. Not really, but okay." Because I'm really competitive, but I didn't want to get in my head. And he's like, "Dude, I think you're like top 20 or top 25." And I remember telling him, "There's no effing way. That's impossible. How is that possible?" And at that moment, we changed our strategy and we got, I think, a little bit more aggressive with the sleep and the intentionality of what we were doing. And it no longer, because those first 95 miles were kind of me just enjoying myself. I wasn't racing. I wasn't thinking about racing. I was just out there tackling a course and seeing what I was capable of. And yeah, I guess I never really thought, I still don't know what I consider myself. I'm just I'm just a runner, I guess.
So let's say you are coming back to Cocodona again, right? So you did it in 84 hours. Will your
Mhm.
mindset be different in the next time you are coming? Because will you be more aggressive? Like how will you tackle it next time?
Yeah, good question. I would tell you that, yeah, I'm like I said, I'm competitive mostly with myself. And so I think the big thing for me would be to see if I can beat my time. I'm not really racing anybody else. The cards are going to fall where they're going to fall. I can't control how everybody else is racing. I can control my controllables. And so 100% I would go out there and try to beat that time. And so I think to answer your question more directly is I would probably be way more aggressive on the front end and just see if I can hold off on the back end and keep the wheels on the truck. I finished pretty strong. We finished with a progression run
Oh,
coming
wow.
into Flagstaff, which is insane to think about. But so I feel like there's more in the tank. And now that I finished it, I think I'd be more willing to risk uh, pushing hard, knowing that I've already accomplished this goal to really push and see what I could do. And I don't know what the answer is to that.
And looking back at your whole journey, right? So only running 100 miles, then you did insane 250, right? That's almost double, 150% increment on it.
Yeah.
And now you have so many weeks to reflect back at the Cocodona journey, right? So if you think about things that you need to improve, then what are the things that you can improve going into the next year's race or in the future 250 races?
Yeah, I would say, we were joking about it this morning. I think you commented on something on Instagram about beast mode, and
Yeah.
I made a joke about my noodle arms. I got these ramen noodle arms, man. And maybe one day I'm gonna turn these into like an udon noodle. All that to say, um, I think strength training and cross training is probably where I need to spend time. My body held up, but if I focus on that more, I think that would improve all kinds of aspects of what I'm doing. That'd probably be my biggest push.
And also, what's your best memory when you look at it now and
Hmm.
your weirdest memory of Cocodona?
Yeah. Can I give you three?
Yes, oh yeah, sure, more.
You're like, no, I want one.
Yeah, you
No,
can,
so
yes. Yeah, go ahead.
so two of them are tied together, but I'll tell you one was running it in with the crew. So like I said before, we had the bandits, and my crew was huge, probably almost too many people, but also so much love and support. It was incredible. So we ran in, and then Gus Gibbs and Jake Vale, who were crewing and pacing for Rachel Entrekin, who won the female,
Yep.
number one female. This is a buddy of mine, and he came back and met us at Buffalo Park. So we had my crew, Gus and Jake, and we ran it in. And Gus was like parkouring off of like retaining walls and jumping over cones. And we were running in as one unit. And I remember Gus like going into traffic and like stopping cars on green lights so that we can continue moving forward. That was just like, man. And then to finish, the live stream had said that I was in the 125 race and they gave me a 125 buckle. And I think I like to hope because I was moving pretty good. So that was one of my favorite memories. And this is all tied together. So the other two, um, I mentioned earlier, we finished with a progression run. And so we start the race running and we finish the race running. And to be in a position where I ran the last 4 miles, 12 minutes down to a sub 8 minute or sub 9 minute
Dang.
finish on my last mile, to have that like in me, like I guess from a human spirit and like tenacity, was really nice. And I just like, and the reason we were doing it was I mentioned earlier was because we had a real race. So you're thinking a 256-mile race, like to have a real race where I had Shelby hunting me for the all day, if not longer. Like she was zoning in. I saw Shelby coming out of the second to last aid station, and I was cheering her on because, like I said, I have a lot of admiration for Shelby. She is a badass. She brings such good energy. So I was partially cheering for her. Obviously, I didn't want her to beat me, but I was totally cheering for her. And we were 6 miles out, Ash, and coming down Eldon, I'm struggling. My knees are barking. They're screaming at me. My legs aren't working. This is probably like the one part of the race where I mentally was like really starting to push myself in terms of how am I going to figure this out? And Shelby got within a quarter mile of me coming down Eldon. So we're 6 miles out on a 256-mile race. And we have a real race in front of us. And Shelby's hunting me down. She's kicking my butt. And that was a gift. I had to dig deep, find something in me, and that's why we ended up doing a progression run, probably. I probably would have tried to run it in, but not like that. And what I didn't know was Ryan Coons and Cam Haynes, who I had been kind of chasing that whole day, were 3 miles in front of us. So we were also not only running from Shelby, we were also trying to catch them. So you had four runners within 3.5 miles of each other, 6 miles out on this race. And I think that is a gift, man. You can't ask for anything better than that, regardless of how it shakes out. That's magic. That's honestly my best memory was being in a race that late in the race.
Did you thought you had that in you when you were doing this progressive run
No,
at this very end?
no. Leo, my coach, was pacing me, and he looked at me and he goes, "Hey, bro, are you brave?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about, dude?" What do you mean, am I brave? He's like, "We're gonna finish running this thing." I'm like, "Okay, what does that mean?" He's like, "Yeah, we're doing a progression run to bring this in. We're gonna finish strong." I was like, all right, let's do it, dude."
That
No,
is
Ash,
insane.
I had no idea. No. But and then we got to the last couple blocks and I was like, all right, I'm feeling it now. And I started picking up the pace and Leo actually had to put his arm on me to slow me down because he's like, all right, you're gonna injure yourself now. Relax, cowboy, you're good.
Oh God, that is insane. Did you end up getting closer to the person before you, or how close was
We
Shelby
got
at the
with
end?
so we put a gap on Shelby. And I think the big thing was I don't think Shelby ever got to see me because we knew that if Shelby could get visual on me, that she would that's gonna
Yeah,
fuel her.
just it was
And
fun.
so the big goal was don't ever see me because once she sees me, now we're really gonna race. So luckily I don't think she ever got visual on me. That helped me. But also like I think Cam and Ryan beat me by 13 minutes. So I did never catch them. But that's okay. Um, Again, I never thought I'd be in that position, Ash, so
I'll ask Shelby that
that's a
question
gift.
now because I think if I was in her place, then I would hunt you down because I think that's what I usually do when I go on a trail run and I see a runner in front of me. Then,
Yeah,
yeah, it's just,
it's like
yeah,
it's a game. It's a game. Yeah, our goal was don't let Shelby see me.
that worked.
I think it did. Well, and the thing is, like I had spent probably 12 or 15 miles with her on day one, and like I said, just connected with her. She's incredible. And she was telling me, I think she did Black Canyons last year, and I think you have to ask her, I think she broke her foot at like mile 7 on 100K. And then she finished the race. So I knew in my heart of hearts, like I said, she's a badass. There's no stopping. Um, and so that was great. It was great.
She finished it with the broken leg. That's insane. I have to ask her that.
Yeah, I could be wrong. Like I said, my memory's a little shoddy, but I'm pretty sure she did 50 miles on a broken foot.
Yeah, and and also the other part of the question was, what was the weirdest thing that you saw in Cocodona?
Oh yeah, sorry. I got so excited about my best moments.
Yes, no, it's okay. I just saw it and I was like following back on that.
No, you're good. The weirdest moment, I think hallucinating. I'd never hallucinated before. And so like we were coming out of Sedona and there was like it was like muddy and like I said earlier, I'm looking down and I could see like these people's faces in the mud. And I'm like half awake, I'm half sleeping, and I remember being like, "Excuse me," and I'm trying to step over them because like I knew they weren't real, but you also don't want to be rude and step on someone's face.
That's insane.
So I guess that would be my weirdest moment was I guess hallucinating, which was super fun.
Yeah, it sounds
I
fun.
and the weird thing, I got a weird thing with faces. So after the race, we went to the Airbnb and I'm in the shower and I'm like yelling at my team because I still hadn't slept. And all the tiles, they were like these brown tiles. It with like different colors of brown. And I saw like this old Hispanic lady's face. I saw this dog in the tile. There was like 8 people in the tiles. And I'm like, guys, have you seen can
This-
you dude, you gotta check this out. There, there's faces in the bathroom. And they're like, yeah, bro, I'm pretty sure that you're still tired. So,
And
yeah.
in that thought, when did that go away? How long did it take for it to be normal? Or feel normal?
So after, yeah, so after the shower, I felt fine. And then I went back the next morning and I couldn't find the faces. and I was really disappointed because they were right. But my body, yeah, my body regulation was off for quite a few times. So you wake up in the middle of the night and just like the bed was soaked. That poor Airbnb. Hope they're not listening. That bed was just soaked with sweat. Like my body temperature regulation was so whack. Um, my sleeping schedule, I would get up like 4 or 5 times a night for the next 2 or 3 weeks. And my heart rate's finally starting to come down when I'm running 5, 6 weeks out. So there's a lot of body regulation that takes place where it takes a while to normalize things.
When I was talking to Cody, he also had the same thing. And did you had any PTSD where he said while he was sleeping in the next few days he had to wake up at night and like, do you have to run? Where do you have to run or something like that? Did you have the same thing?
I saw that in the podcast. I think I saw that. And I remember watching the movie The Chase. And I think maybe it was String Bean. He woke up at like mile 200, completely like, where am I? Eating mashed potatoes. And I think it was his wife or something was like, hey, you're at Cocodona, buddy. You got 70 miles left.
God.
Thankfully, I didn't have any of that. So I got pretty lucky there. No PTSD or like waking up in the middle of the night being like, oh shoot, I gotta go.
Oh yeah. That's bad, when you're trying to rest after the race is done, you did your best and you're dying, almost dying, and then you're trying to get some rest and you're like, oh God, I gotta go
You
run.
wake up.
Yeah.
Oh man, Cody, I'm sorry, brother. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's amazing, like all these stories, and now you can laugh out of it right now, right? So you can just think about it and laugh about
Oh
it, but
yeah.
it's like poor Cody.
Yeah. Oh
And
man.
now comparing to your other race in Cocodona as well, right? So the Antelope Canyon 100 miler that you did. Now comparing
Yeah.
Cocodona to the Antelope Canyon 100, how was it different mentally, technically, everything?
The race or my experience, would you say?
I think experience.
100% different. I mean, they couldn't be different, more different. So I went into Antelope Canyon not knowing anything. And not knowing that I didn't, they always say, like, you don't know what you don't know. Ash, again, because I don't have experience, I got fitted for shoes as a casual jogger when I got running shoes. And I didn't
Casual
realize when you do
jogger.
100 milers or when you do trail running, you size up. And so for starters, uh, my shoes were a size too small. I didn't realize it until mile 60, where like if this is my foot, this is
Yeah.
my shoe.
God.
For 40 miles at Antelope Canyon, I every step I could feel my foot hitting my shoe and my toenails were, sorry for the graphic here, they were loose.
Yeah. Oh
I
God.
felt like they were like loose in my socks. Luckily, they were still hanging on by a little bit of skin, but I lost 7 toenails that day.
Oh.
So I didn't know that. I also I fueled on liquid IV, which has a lot of sodium, but no calories and carbs.
Oh.
So I wasn't fueling my body correctly. I couldn't eat by mile 50 anything solid. And luckily my crew was awesome and got me to have like ramen noodle broth and ensures, but every 5 miles. And there's not a lot of carbs or calories in either of those. I'm getting protein, but I'm not refueling my body. So that was a mess. And
God.
then I had this bright idea, Ash, because hey, I'm at
That is
mile like
interesting.
95, right? I got 5 miles left. I feel good. The sun came out. You get like this new life when the sun comes out. So I dropped my vest,
Oh
and
God.
my mom's at the aid station. It's just my mom. I dropped my vest. I'm like, I can run 5 miles without hydration and food. I'm fine, right? I've done it before. So I go off 5 miles to the next aid station, and I run that first mile pretty good, probably like a 10 or 11 minute pace. And then all of a sudden, my body shuts down, and I come to a crawl and I have nothing with me. It's the desert.
God.
It's not hot yet, but it's dry. I'm dehydrated. I'm way undernourished. And within those next 4 miles, like 5 people passed me. And every time someone passes me, it's like a kick to the gut. It's I'm like, and then all of a sudden people talk about ultra math, right? And it's like ultra math is like where you try to do math at like a long distance race, and like it's like becoming it's like Einstein theory, like physics. I'm not a scientist, but like the simplest math becomes very difficult. And as these people are passing me and I come to a crawl, I'm starting to do math and I'm like, okay, am I going to finish in time? I went from being pretty comfortable to finishing to trying to figure out mentally, oh no, am I screwing up my race because I dropped my vest? Dude, there's so much I did wrong.
Yeah.
I love it. It's awesome. You have to learn the hard way sometimes.
So no more dropping vest at mile 95.
Yeah. No more undernourishing.
Yeah.
Get the right shoe size.
God. Is your nail like are your nails still intact or they're gone?
No, they come back.
Okay.
They come back. It takes a couple months. I did lose, I think, two or three during Cocodona. I two. I have a third one that I think is going to come off, but that's a lot. That's a 50% improvement, man, at the very least, maybe more. So that's good
Hopefully
to me.
next time no more nails. That's the goal next time.
I actually Googled at one point if I could surgically remove them because I was like, I'm tired of losing these.
I don't think you can. Can you? I don't think that's possible.
I think I think you can. I don't know.
God.
It's more fun to peel them off.
Oh God. Now, now, as we are in this canyon 100 miler, did you have any goal time that you went, or was it like a time-based event? I don't know. I don't know a lot about this event.
Yeah, no, no, that one's good. You had a 30-hour cutoff, and uh, I didn't have a goal. No, it was just to finish. And oh, back to again things you learn along the way. This is also part of the conversation here with this question is I didn't do any course research, Ash. So I looked at pictures and said that looks pretty, and I figured every 100 miler I'm going to do is going to be hard. So there's 30 plus miles of sugar sand that you run through, like really fine sand. And I was like, oh, for some reason, I thought it was like only 12 miles. So I trained for 12 miles of sand, not 30 plus miles of sand. I also didn't train for slick rock because I didn't pay attention to the course description or anything about I didn't even look I also didn't look at like what's the success rate, which I think is like around 40%. Um yeah, I just it looked pretty.
It is pretty. It is gorgeous.
It is pretty.
Yeah.
Why else? What other reason do you need to go?
At least did have good pictures.
Yeah, exactly. At least I have good pictures. I have good memories.
And also we talked about the nutrition on this. Did you also have anything with the gears? Like everything worked out for the Canyon 100 miler?
Yeah, I think everything except for my feet, my shoes. Yeah, everything else I think feels like it worked out pretty well for gear wise on the Antelope Canyon. Yeah.
And now you have the experience of the Antelope Canyon 100 miler and then Cocodona, right? 250. So if somebody is
Hmm.
listening to you right now and then you have to explain it in your words, how would you describe it?
Beautiful. I've lived in a lot of states in the United States, but I've never lived in a desert environment. And so for me, the desert feels exotic. It's like this seemingly inhabitable space, but it's teeming with life, right? You have cactuses, you have these wild animals, snakes, and all these fun critters, the heat, the dry. And I think it kind of embodies, I think of the desert, I think it kind of embodies like the human spirit. It's like it's resilient and there's poetry in that. And so I would just say it's a beautiful space. The sunsets, the sunrises are so vivid with the purples and the reds and the oranges and the yellows. It's very peaceful, clear skies usually. It's really a place where you can be present. It's gorgeous.
Not when it rains though. That's bad. When it rains, it's because I used to live in Arizona
Or
too, Phoenix.
oh
Actually,
yeah,
yeah, I used to live in Phoenix, and Sodona was like 2 hours away from Gilbert, where we used to live, and rain was not fun, and
yeah.
summer is not fun. It's we used to run.
Well, then you get the flash floods because
Yeah,
everything's so hard, right?
yep. Oh God, it was like it would be like pouring, and then it would go right away, but it's just like, oh God, yeah. Good luck with that. But it was
Yeah.
nice, yeah. I have good memories there. I used to run with my cousins. We used to go like at 4:30 in the morning Saturdays, and it used to be
Hmm.
90 or something, and it's like insane. It's
It's brutal, man. And that's the thing is it's an unforgiving environment. It really is, which I think again goes back to being present. Like you have less opportunities to make mistakes, right? Because the consequences can be harsher
yes,
than say I live in Northern California now and the biggest thing I'm gonna get is I'm gonna trip on a rock, sprain my ankle, or get poison oak. Is I guess there's mountain lions out here,
yes.
but
I used to live
I am
in
afraid of mountain
California
lions.
too. I used to live in
Oh,
yeah, Monterey and Salinas, and then Hollister.
oh, Monterey, yeah. So you're, oh yeah, man. You
Yeah,
know all about it.
yes, yeah. That's
Beautiful
what
spaces.
we used to go. I think there used to be a. I used to play ultimate frisbee, so and then we used to hike in this Mount Toro. That's what it used to call. So I'm much more
Hmm.
familiar with Northern California too. So San Francisco was like two hours away from San Jose.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's beautiful, man. That's I call it my home. So it's beautiful.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm glad you appreciate I guess it treated you well. That
Yeah,
that is what I'm trying to say.
it
Yeah.
was nice.
I love California.
Good memories. And I think yeah, my cousin might be mad. So oh, Phoenix is my home now.
They're both beautiful. They're just different.
Yes, yeah. Where
Yeah.
where do you live in Northern California? Near San Francisco or
Yeah, I live in Alameda. It's a little island just across the bay from San Francisco next to Oakland. So, and I've lived out here for about 10 years now from the Midwest. Came from the Midwest.
yeah, I think I know or remember where that is.
Yeah.
And now going back to your training, right? So you said you never run for like you were not a runner, and within a 2 year your progression has been immense, right? So from not running to running this 100 miler, and then you ran 250 miles. So how did your training look like? If somebody's interested right now and they're gonna look at this podcast and like, look, Dante did it, so I'm gonna try at
Mhm.
least. So how was your training?
Yeah, I didn't get the volume that I'm assuming most people who trained for Cocodona did. We did very specific race training for months. Anything that was over 2 hours, basically, I would have a full kit vest. And I did a ton of power hiking because Cocodona has a lot of vert. And when you're moving for upwards of 5 days, you're not running the whole time. You're just looking to be efficient with everything you can do. You're going to have spouts where you run, you're going to have spouts where you power hike. So I spent a lot of time with 4 to 6 liters on my back and then learning how to use poles and power hike. And so my biggest recommendation would be to learn the course,
Yes.
know what you're getting into, and then think about what are some of the biggest challenges that you're going to come across with that, and then learn to be efficient in race specific training. Volume is important. Of course, you want to build that fitness and the capability, but all the work's done in training. And if you can be race specific, that's a huge, I think people sleep on. Everybody just goes for volume and wants to be fast, but the hiking sucked. I'm gonna be honest. 50% of my time on feet was probably power hiking or moving at a slower pace than I want, but it paid off. And so that'd be my recommendation.
How long was your power hiker hiking for this training when you were training for it?
Yeah, I did a couple overnights and I would just power hike through the night in unfamiliar places in the wilderness, sometimes by myself, sometimes with a partner, a buddy. Sean and Keegan, who were on my team, came out for a couple of them. McKinnon, a buddy of mine, and yeah, I was just trying to get familiar with the unfamiliar. But I would do 4 to 8 hours at a time out there,
Okay.
typically.
And we talked about this already, and you brought up that you had a coach. Instead of having a coach, if you have been training by yourself, do you think you would have done this?
Yes, that is an awesome question. So I have Antelope Canyon where I didn't have a coach, and Cocodona where I did have a coach. Antelope Canyon, I did everything wrong,
Yep.
and I beat cutoffs by 1 hour. The Cocodona, I had a coach, and I had a hard time finding things that didn't go right. And if they were wrong, they were pretty minor. And I think I ended up beating cutoff by 40 hours and finishing 20th. So I think there's a very clear answer.
Yes.
Having an incredible coach, mine, Leo Pershaw with Pacific Endurance, insanely amazing person. We could have a podcast on how I feel about Leo. I love the guy. He's become a really great friend, a mentor, and uh, the experience would have been so different, Ash, if I would have just self-coached. I, I I can't express how much value having someone. And the reason I got a coach was actually partly because of Lindsay Dwyer. We were running together and we were just becoming friends about a year ago. And I had never thought I needed a coach because I'm pretty accountable to myself. And she stopped me on mid-run and she said, "No, you need a coach because a coach is going to protect you from yourself." Because I was going out and just running like 30, 40 miles, like pretty almost every weekend and just like stacking miles. And I didn't have a base to justify that. And so injury was going to happen. And Lindsay stopped me in my tracks and she's like, "No, I think you need a coach to keep you from hurting yourself." And ended up Leo did so much more than that. And he came out and crewed me.
That's amazing. And in that topic, you talked about the coach and then the crew, right? So, and I think I just saw a video today from Andy Glaze. He said, "I ran without any crew, and this is the things that I put on my backpack." So,
Hmm.
and I know I talked to Cody and everybody, and like the importance of crew. So, for you, in terms of your
Hmm.
experience, how good were the crews for you?
Unbelievable. Honestly, it, they embody the best of humans, of what humans can be. Like I said earlier when we started the podcast, like I learned the value of showing up for people when they most need you. And that's what the crew was. I mean, they lift your spirits. They take all the thought that you have to like plan and think, and they do it for you. So we'd come into an aid station, Ash, and my pacer would be like, "What do you need?" And I would say like coffee, food, whatever Leo says I need. How long do you want to sleep? Whatever Leo thinks. I basically offset all of my thinking skills to my team and put 100% trust into them. And that I didn't have to worry about anything. And then to have that high every time you come into an aid station and when you leave an aid station of just having people love you and be there for you, like the warmth and what that means, it gives you something to fight for. It reminds you while you're there. It's not just for you, it's for them. You're creating an experience. They want to be there. You want them to succeed with you, and you don't want to be the weak link. And so there's this accountability to giving it your best because it's not just about you. Yeah, the people who showed up for me are just I have so much love for them.
Yeah, that is awesome to hear, and I think it just shows a lot about how they care about you too. Like it's not easy thing to do. Like waiting there for 3 4 days, like basing on how you are. They have to be at certain locations, and it just shows like we were talking about earlier on the community and then the friendship that we build through this trail running community. And I think that just is the embodied of what the whole trail running community is about.
It's sacrifice. They took vacation. They came down and 8 people came down in the desert, dirt bagging in the desert for 5 days, taking vacation to support me on some wild idea. And my track record didn't tell anybody that there was a guaranteed success. They all believed in me. I just incredible people.
And in that thought, right? So we talked about the crew and everything, but you, as yourself, now you know that you can do this badass thing of running 250 miles. You know that's insane. So when you look at yourself, what are the biggest strength that you have, and what do you think? Like we talked about earlier on, you said your weakness is you probably need to work on the strengthening and stuff like that. So, what are the biggest strength and weaknesses as a trail runner?
That's a great. I never actually thought about that question until you brought it up. Um, I guess the biggest strength I have is my mental piece. I've always just believed in myself and figured that I'll figure it out as I go. As I mentioned, I never really wavered in wanting to quit or thinking that I couldn't finish it once I started. So I think that's something, and I think that's embodied in most people who do these things. So I don't know that it's a advantage, but it definitely is a strength in general. Weakness, I think my biggest weakness is I still have lack of experience. I still have a lack of base. While I've got these big mile races under me, I don't have a history that I'm building off of, right? Like a foundation that's really strong. My running fitness is still in its infancy. And so that's something that I'm excited as I build volume and build more experience. I think that's the weakness that I can work on other than my noodle arms.
And also, well, we're talking about today, like most of the talk has been on the mental side because it's immense, right? You have to sleep, you cannot sleep for so many days, and then you have to be mentally so strong to be able to achieve this thing because it's not easy. Your leg is hurting, you cannot sleep, you're cranky, you're angry, and you're dying. You know, like you said, your knees were hurting and everything. So, what was the difficult thing for you, the mental side or the physical side?
Physical side, 100%. Yeah. And it goes back to just my my body's not used to this, right? And I don't think anybody's body is truly used to it unless you've done a couple of these, I'm sure, but it's 100% the physical side's harder for me. My knees, I had sprained my ankle to where it was like black and blue in a balloon like 3 or 4 times, 9 months within the 9 months leading up to Cocodona, and I rolled it twice the week before. So I had written it off as that my knee's gonna go either mile 10 or mile 100. And I actually tweaked it a little bit, like the first 50 feet, and my team saw it on the live stream and they're like, "Oh no." And I was like, "I hope they didn't see it." But the ankle held up the whole time, and it ended up being my knee that was the problem. You never know, but that's the physical side for sure for me is my challenge.
I asked this question to a lot of runners, right? So it's interesting to hear about different perspective from so many different people. Why do you run,
Mm.
or what is running to you?
Oh boy. Heather was on my team and we spent a lot of miles training together and she spent a lot of time in my head and she would ask me this and she would do this thing where she'd like just keep diving and digging and digging at. And where I ended up with her was, and I don't know the reason and I don't know why or how or for what cause, but I feel like to some degree I run because I need to prove to myself that I'm capable of whatever it is. I'm not sure. I almost maybe feel like maybe I'm running for self-respect, to respect myself. But I think the easier answer is I find a lot of peace in it and it's become meditative. But I think the deeper answer is there's probably something in there where I'm looking for a way to respect myself. And I think where I came out too is I realized that my identity was my job a couple years ago. And I had a really hard time, a couple days, where I actually did a retreat, tech detox, and I started questioning like, who am I? And this is where I came up with doing the 100 miler because I decided at that point that I was in life, but I wasn't living. And it's become an endless pursuit of making the most of who I can be while I'm here instead of just going through the motions.
That is so beautiful and honest, and it's so true too. You know, like we are so comfortable with our life. Me too. Like I said, I've been doing
Hmm.
marathons before, and I was also so
Yeah.
comfortable with my life. And I didn't want to try get out of my comfort zone because it's easy. Nobody wants to get out of the comfort zone, and nobody wants to go and see what can they do or how much can like further can you do. So you did this where you went out of comfort zone and did this 100 miler. And similarly, I'm also trying to do this thing where I've never run this 56K, and I'm dreading right now, like thinking about it, and I'm
I'm
like,
so excited for you.
yeah, but I'm just like, why am I doing this, But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's the same question though. I also want to see how far can I go. Like similarly to you, and that's the reason I'm doing this is I want to prove myself, and like same thought as you said, I'm also a software developer, and that's been my whole life. I've been writing codes,
Mm.
and now I'm at a point in life, and when I look at it now, I'm 41. Maybe I live 20 years, 30 years.
Yeah.
So
Hopefully longer.
yeah, and I'm just thinking, what am I doing? Because should I just
Yeah.
live this easy, comfortable life, which is nothing wrong, It's running.
There's nothing wrong with it. No, there's not.
Yeah, running 2 marathons a year is good. Like a lot of people would die for this thing, but
100%.
and I just felt that I can do more, and like you, also want to challenge myself to do these things that I once I thought was impossible, and
Yeah.
I can so relate what you just said, and it's so wonderful that we make ourselves to do this thing that we once thought it was impossible, and here you are, 2 years in a running journey, you did 250-mile race, that's insane.
Yeah, I'm starting to live. I'm starting to be in life instead of just going through the motions. And I think once you unlock that part, that mentality, you find that, again, I said it earlier, we are our biggest limiters. We hold ourselves back by this narrative that we tell ourselves of who we are, what we're capable of, and we're afraid of failure. And there's so much beauty in failure. There's so much beauty in taking the jump, the risk. And if you don't make it, say I don't finish Cocodona, at least I tried, right? And I went out and had an adventure, and I went out and decided that I wasn't gonna just go through the motions. I'm gonna try new things. I'm gonna try to be a better person, try to live. There's beauty in that, and it becomes addictive. That's the challenge.
Yes, and it's okay. It's okay to be scared. And like we're talking about this thing, and I'm sure you were scared too. Like you said, when you signed up for 250, and you're like, "Oh my God, what
Mm,
what did I do?" Right? So it just
dude, as second I hit send and I put the deposit or I paid, I texted Amanda, my girlfriend. I'm like, "Oh shit, what did I just do?"
yeah,
And I didn't know if anybody would show up for me because I had just started in the community. I thought I might be out there by myself. So
yeah.
fear is there for sure.
And I wanted to ask you. So when you are
Hmm.
running, right? So some people run to win, and that's what what my mindset was. It's progressive getting faster. When winning, maybe not, but trying to get faster, trying to finish.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
now when I started this trail running journey, it's more about the adventure where I want to enjoy. I want to enjoy the trees, the forest. Like I don't
Yeah.
know if you listen to Harry's podcast. He says, I like he said I like to hug the trees, and that's my peace. Along the line, but he said something like that. So when you run, what do you think of? Do you want to win? Do you want to finish, or do you love the journey that you go from 0 mile to 250 miles?
Yeah, I love the process. I love the process of the training. I feel like the training is the work and the race is the celebration of the homework you've done. Like Harry, I love touching trees as I come by. I feel like when I'm in the woods, I'm like a kid. Like I'm like a kid in a candy store. Like especially when you get in that flow state and you can feel the wind and the leaves going behind you and the ground under your feet, the crackling of the leaves. Um, it's just joy. I want to do the best I can do, but that's not what drives me. Pure joy of just letting go is really the exciting part for me.
And we were talking about earlier on, and you said you about your partner who is very supportive. So What was her first reaction when you told her that you signed up for Cocodona 250? Was she supportive or she's
You're
like,
an you're
what the hell did
you're
you
an
do?
idiot. You're an idiot. No, I think she expected it. She's come to expect a lot of just I can be unpredictable. And so she was immediately supportive. I think she was worried. She was certainly, I know she was worried. But luckily she was supportive for the most part.
And now, since you have done this awesome thing of 250 miles, and I know we're talking about earlier on, you're looking for more adventure. Are you set for life that I'm gonna be doing ultras from now on?
As far as I can see, man, I found community, I found peace, I found growth. I no longer just identify as like my job. And so for me, it's for the foreseeable future, 100%. I love it. These 200-mile distances. I met Aaron Kubala at Lindsay's a couple weeks before Cocodona, and he had just I think he ran across Chile. Like he ran across the whole country.
Yeah.
He's insane. And he told me you're gonna be addicted. And I was like, I think you're right, but I don't know. I don't know, buddy. I don't know. And as soon as I finished, I was like, yep, I'm addicted. These long ones are so much fun. So
So, what's next in your journey?
I am in the find myself phase, Ash. I have no idea. I don't know if it's something solo again, like if I do a 100-mile solo around here, or if I sign up for another race. The training on a 200-mile race is pretty demanding, especially
Yeah.
with a demanding job and a relationship. And so I think I can maybe only do one of those a year effectively. 100 milers, the training is a little bit more manageable. And so I think maybe that might be where I try to maybe do a 100 miler this year. Again, I don't know if it's solo or a race. I'm just waiting for something to inspire me. But yeah, I'm just enjoying things right now. It's hard to be in that space though, to be honest.
And like we were talking about this inspiring thing, right? So, if somebody
Hmm.
is listening to you right now, a person who Dante didn't run for so long in his life, and within a period of
Hmm.
2 years, he went
Yeah.
from 0 to 250. So now, if somebody's
Yeah.
listening to you, right? So now they are up until to this point in the podcast, and they are thinking about doing the 50 miler or 100 miler. So, what would be some words of wisdom from you?
Yes, I love it. I say do it. Look, you don't know what you're capable of until you push yourself. And fear is always going to be there. So don't let that hold you back. You have to first and foremost believe in yourself though, because that's where everything starts. I would also say that there's a this whole like Goggins mentality of just it's all mental, just grind through it. You know, there is a large mental game to this, but it's not everything. You can't sleep on the work. You have to do the training. And that includes physical and mental. And so don't just assume that, hey, I'm mentally strong. I can grind through this because you might be able to, but you also might be disappointed to find that if you don't put the physical work in, it might have a different result than what you're expecting. But I think everybody's capable of these. I really do. Types of races. Ash, you and I were talking before this. Like, I'm terrified to run a marathon, like
Yeah.
competitively with myself. Like I would rather go out and run 100 miles than do a marathon right now because, for 100 miles it's an eating contest. It's a problem solving contest. It's like a slow burning candle. And I think the distance scares so many people, but in some ways I feel like personally it might be more accessible to a degree than running what people would consider a fast marathon or trying to run a fast marathon at full max heart rate. And I know that sounds weird, but I just believe in yourself.
I mean, that makes,
You are probably your biggest limiter.
yeah, I think I agree what you said, and I believe that since I'm doing this, then I think I can say it that running 56K for me is easier
Mhm.
than go and doing a sub 4 marathon or sub 3:30. Yeah,
100%.
it's much more.
Every yeah, it's just a mental thing, right? Because you think the distance, you're like, how am I going to do this? But the reality is, you just dial all of the effort back, and you just it's more about consistency versus redlining.
And what's your relationship with the pain in the topic? Where we're talking about this marathon at full heart rate and then talking
Yeah.
about doing 100-mile distances. So, what is your relationship with the pain?
So I'm gonna pain, not injury, because those are different, and you learn to like understand your body. So pain, I look at pain as growth. It means that I'm pushing myself. And as I mentioned, I was coming down Mingus and my knees were just, I've never felt them. I'm at mile like 120. I've never felt pain in my body or my knees like I'm feeling. And Leo reminded me, he's, hey, I want you just to accept this, sit in it, listen to your body, see how it feels it instead of pushing it away, and then move on because we can't fight it. And knowing that I can endure pain for 3 or 4 or 5 days to have something that I can be proud of for the rest of my life. Yeah, I take that bet every time, Ash. A little bit of discomfort and pain for 84 hours to know for the rest of my life that I accomplished something that I thought was impossible 3 years ago and never could have dreamed of. Dude, that's a winning bet every day. And also, I'm a big believer in like harmony and balance. And so without good or without bad, you don't have good and vice versa. And so pain is just a part of that spectrum. It's the yin and the yang of feeling good.
That is beautiful. What you said, your coach Leo said, embrace the pain and don't fight it.
It's there. We cannot control that it's there, right? You
Yes.
can only just listen to it, accept it, and then understand that it's here. It's new information. That's all it is.
Two things left. So there is just five rapid fire thing. So I'm just
Okay.
gonna ask you, and then first thing that comes to your mind.
Oh, this is dangerous.
No, it's a nice one, I think. Slip break or push through?
Push through.
Technical trails or fire roads?
Fire roads.
Solo grind or crude and pace?
Crude and paste. Love community.
Gels and powders or real food and burritos? I don't know why I asked burritos.
Burritos? I love burritos.
Okay. Suffer in silence or talk through the pain?
Both. They both have a time and place.
All right. So, last final question. Running has
Mhm.
changed my life because
It's, ooh, the people in my running have changed my life, not running. And I would tell you again, I now understand. I thought I was a decent person before running. And when I had crew at both of my big races come out and show up for me, they taught me what it was to be a really good person, someone who's better. And that's been my biggest lesson is showing up. It changed my life, and that's how it's changed my life.
awesome. And I agree. Running community is so awesome. Like we were talking about earlier too, and I made so many friends through this podcast and through talking and just being, yeah, like we're talking out from California and
Yeah.
Berlin, right? So we're talking here. And like you were talking about saying, oh, Selby is a badass, and I think you are a badass too, because you went
Ah,
it, you crossed it, and you got it done. Like you were talking about, like I can never imagine the pain you went through your knees because that's brutal. 250 miles with pain, and so many other things that you went through, and desert, hell, heat, sleep deprivation, and whatever else we can all imagine. You got it done. You finished the race, and that takes a huge guts and courage to do it. So, yeah, thank you for your time, and I
thank
really
you, Ash.
appreciate you doing this and learning about you more now. So I got to know you more, and then we have so many things in common. So
I know, man. Next time you're in the States, if you're in the West Coast, you'll have to look me up. And of course, if I'm ever in Berlin, that's a no-brainer, my friend.
Oh,
I look forward to staying connected with you.
yep, yeah, and thank you so much, and I appreciate you. And then I'm gonna look at your journey and see what's next for you, and I'm gonna cheering you on.
Likewise, I'm looking forward to seeing you knock out that 56K and that 100K, man. We'll be rooting from afar, brother.
Yeah, thank you so
I'm
much,
proud of you.
and
Buddy, take
and,
care. Thank you, Ash.
and I hope you have a good evening.
You as well. Take care, buddy.
You too. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Hey everyone, thank you for making it to the end of the podcast. I hope you really enjoy this conversation. I'll see you again next time with another guest. Until then, happy running.